Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar on how to reduce nerves and speak with increased confidence. Just to let you know, I ran a little survey earlier this year, January and February, where I asked people what are the biggest problems they face with public speaking. And I ranked them. There was about 5 different responses, but the one that came out top, both in my Facebook survey and my LinkedIn survey, was how do you reduce your nerves and how can you become more confident when you speak? So I thought I'd run a webinar on some tips to help you be more confident and more effective when you do your next presentation, when you start to do speaking. So that's the reason or the genesis for this particular webinar. Those of you who haven't been on webinars before, this is how you participate. Please ask questions as we go. Stephanie just typed in the dialogue box. The rest of you, just type a question as we go. Sarah, Stephen, and Natalie. We're still waiting for a few more to join us. So just type in a question at any time. I will pause periodically, but don't wait for me to pause. Just type in, hey, how about this? Take notes, and most importantly, I want you to think forward to a presentation you've got coming up, or maybe think past. Thanks, Natalie. Think in the past when you've done a presentation. Is there anything you can do differently or you plan to do differently as a result of this webinar? That is taking the information from today and putting it into your next presentation or applying it to a past presentation. That's where you get the learning from. Applying it to your own personal circumstances. All right, I'll move on fairly quickly. There's 6 things I want to share with you, and please understand these are not chronological. Each one of these standalone would help you be more confident, control nerves, and be more effective. So the first one simply is do preparation. The second one is invest in learning to relax, deep breathe, visualize, whatever you do. The next one is learning to reframe nerves, so not getting rid of nerves, but understanding that if you look at your nerves from a different perspective. The 4th step is embracing nerves, that nervous energy, not so much trying to get rid of it, but learning to embrace it. Step 5 is fear of what others think of us, understanding it and learning to get over it. And step 6, to be more confident and to be more effective, we need to welcome feedback into our lives. So let me work through those one by one. And please ask questions as we go. Be prepared. Do your preparation. Robert Schuller remarked that spectacular performance is always preceded by spectacular preparation. Most of our nerves, most of the problems, most of the lack of confidence comes when we get before a group of people underprepared. So the more preparation we do, the more effective we can be, the more confident we can be, the less we have to worry about. I use a model called the iceberg model. It's used in lots of aspects. But in terms of the iceberg, there's about 20% above the water and about 80% below. So my view is this is what audiences see when I present. This is what audiences see when I do a keynote presentation or a seminar. I spoke at Singapore recently. I spoke for 20 minutes. And I reckon I did 20 hours of preparation. And this is what people do not see. This is below the waterline. So your preparation, the more you do, I think it's the majority of your presentation. Now, what I think is important is go analog first. People go to their computers, they start writing, they start scripting, they start putting together PowerPoint slides. Start to organize your presentation on your ideas on Post-it notes, and then you can rearrange them. And then you can simplify that to a mind map or a one-page bullet sheet. Do your preparation around who's going to be in the room. So this is below the water. What do they want from you? What's their pain point? Know the venue. When I went to Singapore, I went to the venue the day before and also 7 a.m. on the morning of my presentation. Even though I was last presenter for the day, I walked on that platform twice. I made friends with the audio visual team. And I knew my topic so that regardless of what happened, if the speaker before me took too much time, I could do mine in 15. If the organizer wanted me to do it in 25 because he wanted me to make up time, I could have done that for him as well. I think in terms of preparation, and there I am preparing my daughter's wedding speech, I think the most important thing to understand is that when you practice on your feet. Don't practice at your computer, at your word processor. Get up in front of a mirror. Get up in front of a family member. Get up in front of a few work colleagues. You cannot practice just by looking at a piece of paper or by looking at a Word document. The only way to practice is to get on your feet, start a timer, go through your start, practice your stories, bring home your conclusion, your strong ending, see how it goes timing wise. Look at your gestures in front of a mirror, make sure that they're not bouncing up and down. This is preparation. If you want to be more confident, you want to be more effective, do your preparation. Learn to relax. Learn to relax. And that can be deep breathing, that can be visualization, that can be meditation, yoga. What is it that you do to relax before you go on stage? The time's getting closer. The MC's introducing you. You feel that anxiety rise up within you. Relaxation's a great skill for life, not just for public speaking. What do you do when you get stressful? What do you do? This gentleman is listening to a podcast or some relaxation. You know that cricketers, before they go out to bat, they're often playing in their headsets their motivational music, or their motivational gurus are speaking to them. This person is obviously doing visualization. Maybe some deep breathing, some diaphragmatic breathing down the bottom. If you don't do diaphragmatic breathing, you're probably breathing high up here. Diaphragmatic breathing is when your lungs expand below your rib cage. Invest in your own method for relaxation. One of the techniques that I sometimes do, I call it 4 by 4 by 4 by 4. Breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold that for 4 seconds. Breathe out for 4 seconds. Do that 4 times. While you're sitting down, waiting to be introduced, you can do that deep diaphragmatic breathing. Do you warm up your vocal apparatus? Do you sip water? So while you wouldn't be doing this in front of the crowd, you could be doing your 4 by 4 breathing. And then the power of the smile and the positive body language. Have you all seen the TED Talk by Amy Cuddy? And what it talks about is your body language determines how you are perceived. So this gentleman over here, he's looking really comfortable. C-U-D-D-Y is Amy Cuddy. He's looking ready to go. So the question is, does your body language portray confidence and relaxation? So find your own way to reducing your anxiety down a little bit. For me, it's deep breathing, it's relaxation. I arrive early, that's part of my preparation, but while I'm there early, I'm actually visualizing the audience. I'm visualizing the success. I'm visualizing an applause. Learn to relax. Reframe your nerves. Turn your nerves into excitement. Some of you will know that I am a medical scientist. My major is biochemistry. So I want to talk to you about some biochemical changes that happen when you get nervous and when you get excited. Let's start with excitement. So when you get excited, the pituitary gland at the base of your skull releases some hormones, and that hormones go to other hormone-reducing organs and starts to release adrenaline, noradrenaline, and this starts to increase your blood flow. Your blood vessels vasoconstrict. The serotonin and the endorphins also go up when you're excited, which puts you in your peak performance mode. So as all the blood vessels vasoconstrict, so your plumbing has got less, but you've got the same blood volume, your heart has to pump harder and faster to move that blood around. You may feel a tingle in your fingers as a result of the excitement, and some of the other changes will create a little quiver in your voice. This is the biochemistry of excitement. What do you think is the biochemistry of nerves? It's the same. It's similar. Not your thinking, so not cognitively. Nervousness is scary, excitement is something to look forward to. So in terms, we can choose whether we're going to be excited or we're going to be nervous. I choose to be excited. So while I'm waiting to speak at Singapore a couple of weeks ago, I was really excited. And that's reframing your nerves. This gentleman here, he's decided to get excited. He's choosing to get excited. This gentleman here is choosing to be nervous. This gentleman here looks prepared, looks professional, looks ready to go. With all of these people, we don't know what's going within inside them. And even though these people are choosing to look professional, choosing to look excited, they could in fact be a little bit nervous. So think of your black swan or your duck moving across the water gracefully, effortlessly, magnificently. Under the water, their legs are going 100 miles an hour, churning up the water, pushing hard, working, while on top they look so confident, so graceful. Your nerves, you have the ability to choose to be excited, stand like Amy Cuddy says in her TED Talk, and be excited, be present, and appear that you want to be there, even though you have your nerves. So we haven't eliminated our nerves, we've simply reframed them. So that's tip number 3. I'll just pause for a moment. Are there any questions at this stage? Are there any questions around nervousness? Thanks, Sarah. So what if in your mind, you're reframing your nerves, but your voice is quivering and your hands are shaking. So here's a really good tool, Sarah, that I think will help you. The reality is what's happening to you, your nervousness, your quiver, your shaky hands, the audience only sees 50%. So everything for us when we get on stage or before a group of people to do some training, everything that happens to us is amplified. And people only see 50%. So the reality is, and Sarah, I've tested this lots of times, the reality is the people in the room don't see that level of nervousness, that shaking of the hands, they don't see it. That quiver in your voice, they don't hear it. Someone who works with you on a daily basis may notice it, but generally, people don't know. I've just come back from Darwin where a young engineer stood up and said, and spoke beautifully, and then reported that she was very, very nervous, that she hated what I just asked her to do. She hated that assignment, standing up in front of 15 people to speak. I then asked everyone in the room, what did they think? And they said, well, wow, we didn't see that. We didn't know you were nervous. No, we didn't hear any quiver. Or were you? Was your heart pounding? We didn't see or notice that. So when we get confident in understanding that what's ever happening for us, the audience doesn't see it, then we can move on with our nerves. And that's kind of reframing our nerves. Are there any other questions? Excuse me. Moving on. Learn to embrace your nerves. So nerves are a normal part of public speaking. So this is the duck, the black swan once again. And it's about your peak performance mode. To get in your peak performance mode, you need that healthy level of nerves, that healthy level of anxiety. And if you think of public speaking as a performance, then other performers also get nervous, famous and successful performers. So let me share 3 that I use in my workshops quite a lot. So the first one is Sally Pearson. Sally Pearson won the 2012 Olympics. I'll try that again. 2012 Olympics, Sally Pearson was the gold medal winner. She was interviewed prior to the final, asked if she was nervous. And she said, of course I'm nervous. If I'm not nervous, I'm not ready to race. I'm glad to have nerves. So what I say to you, if you're not nervous, you're not ready to speak. Ringo Starr is one of the Beatles, the drummer. Ringo's nickname is Pukey in the Sky with Diamonds. Ringo Starr vomits before most performances, has done for 40 years, goes on and plays beautifully. He cannot remember the first 2 or 3 songs, the first 8 to 10 minutes. He can't remember. Then he goes on, plays for 2 hours normally, and then he starts to relax and starts to be more present. Doesn't mean the first 2 or 3 songs are bad. And I was reading an article just the other day from Adele, and I'm not sure if I can spell Adele's name. It's 1 L or 2 L's, I don't know. Adele, the singer, has terrible stage fright. She really feels anxious before every gig, and then she goes on and just wows the audience. What I'm saying is, as a speaker, we need to learn to live with our nerves. We need to learn to embrace them. That nervous energy puts us in our peak performance mode. If Sally Pearson was too calm, the starter's gun would go and she would be left behind in the blocks. If she's too nervous, then she's going to jump the gun and be disqualified. So we need that healthy level of nerves that put us into our peak performance. So the sooner we learn to embrace rather than try to eliminate nerves and anxiety, the sooner we can move on and be absolutely fantastic, effective, and appear confident as speakers. We need to get over the fear of what others think about us. This is the source of a lot of people's anxiety around public speaking. What if you don't like me? What if I muck up? What if I have a stutter? What if my mind goes blank and I forget what I wanted to say? We need to get over the fear of what others think of us. In fact, what you think of me right now is none of my business. When I was speaking in Singapore, worrying about what the Singaporeans were thinking of me, all 250 of them, is of no use to me whatsoever. The reality is not everyone will like you, but to focus on what others may or may not be thinking about you, to focus on whether you like me or don't like me, is really detracting from your ability to be present and of service to the people in the room. So we need to get over the fear of what others think. Perhaps this lady is dwelling on what went wrong, what she forgot to say. Maybe she's thinking she could have done better. This person's clearly looking at the audience. Ooh, I'm not sure whether they like me. What if they think I'm an idiot? What if they don't laugh? This person possibly thinking it's two straight-faced people smiling, yet there's no smiles here. Very straight, very upright. You have to get over fear of what others think of you. And the other thing closely related, don't do post-event rumination. So you do your gig, you go home and you worry about what you might have done, what could have been, what went wrong. We know that cows chew their cud. So they eat the grass, it goes into their stomach, and they regurgitate it up into their third stomach called the rumen. And this is where we ruminate. We chew it over and over and over, and we worry about it. It's done and it's dusted. I can't do anything else about that. So to dwell on it is a waste of my energy. Clinical psychologists say post-event rumination, which comes about thinking about what others think. How did I go? What if they don't like me? What if I mucked up? Post-event rumination contributes to social anxiety and also some obsessive compulsive behaviors. So get over yourself, be present for the people in the room, serve the people in the room, and stop worrying about what they think about you. And if they do think something about you, that is their business. And if you want to improve and become more confident and more effective, then seek feedback and learn from it. So while I'm not, so I've just had a question, Natalie, what about evaluating what you would do differently next time? Seek feedback every time, but don't worry about what people think about you. Now, feedback needs to be specific. So how are you going to get feedback? get someone to video record you. Then you can have a look at the video and you can look at your behaviors. You can hear your ums and ahs, your eye contact. Have 2 or 3 trusted colleagues in the room that'll give you feedback. And then take the feedback on board, adjust, learn, and then change. You have permission to disregard feedback also. I once got feedback that one of the people in the room was allergic to chloride and fluoride within the water that I provided them to have a drink. If I had an allergy which was chloride and fluoride, I'd probably carry my own filtered water with me. So I put out nice jugs of iced water and glasses for everyone on the table to have a drink of water. The feedback I got was I'm allergic to chloride and fluoride. So what about evaluation? What you do differently next time? It was the question. Get feedback. But make sure it's specific feedback. If I say to you, Natalie, if I say to you, that was great. What do you do with that in terms of continuous improvement? In terms of taking it the next level, the next stage? What does great mean? Or I could give you other feedback. That was a shocker. Yeah, didn't like it. It was a shocker. No use to me whatsoever. What do I mean? It was a shocker. So your feedback needs to be specific. And I like to work on 1 or 2 things. With Singapore, I share my story. And one of the things I'm aware of, and I wanted to improve, was that my story sometimes is too much about me. And you will know that public speaking and presentation skills is not about you. It needs to be a lesson, a message for the people in the room. So the feedback I asked was there sufficient takeaway for the people in the room? So my story is about overcoming my stutter and the steps I took. And I tried to turn it around into the people in the room, how they can grow their business and grow their career through the similar steps. And the feedback I got was, yes, that was valuable. You had something for everyone. So that's important to me, because once before when I spoke, they said a powerful motivational story, but there wasn't anything in it for the audience. So yes, feedback is really important. Thumbs up, written feedback, a colleague, a coach or a mentor, let's say a group of strangers. So I sat at a table in Singapore and I met someone for the first time and we were chatting during the day. I was the last speaker for the day. And I said to him, I'm speaking this afternoon. I'd really value your feedback on, was there sufficient takeaway points for the people in the room? And I got an email that evening, Peter, I like this, I like that. I think you could do this differently. So to be more confident and to be more effective, have feedback, invite feedback into your life. So in summary, these are not in logical or sequential order. Any one of them alone will help you be more confident and more effective. And thanks for your question there, Natalie. Do your preparation. This will help you control nerves. So you know all the what ifs, what could go wrong, what might happen. You've got it covered with your preparation. Learn to relax. Life is stressful. Walking on a stage in Singapore in front of 250 people for the first time is nerve-wracking. I need to be able to do my relaxation, my deep breathing. Reframe your nerves, get excited, be pleased to be there, come from a position of service. It's not about you. Learn to embrace your nerves. They're part of public speaking. They're part of peak performance. Stop worrying about what other people think about you. Don't do post-event rumination, and invite feedback into your life. So any feedback on this webinar, I would love to hear from you. I do record this, so if you've missed anything or I've been too fast, the recording is available to all participants. Upcoming workshops all over the place. Bunbury, no, I've just come back from Darwin. So Bunbury, Perth, coming up in July and then August. And then we're probably going to be heading up to Broome in October and probably down to Esperance in November. And happy to do in-house workshops. So at any stage, if I can be of use to you, do let me know. You know how to reach me. You've got my email, my website. I'm hoping you've seen my Facebook Stories Out Loud, episode 3. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do to be more confident the next time you do your presentation? What tool can you increase to help you just be that better prepared, that more confident, that less nervous, that more present for the audience? Thanks for your participation, and I'll leave it there. Bye for now. Thank you. Thanks, Natalie. Bye for now. Cheers. Bye.